I, William Arthur Philip Louis, take thee, Catherine Elizabeth, as my wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health.
Got a good pair of lungs on him, that's for sure. He's a big boy, he's quite heavy, but we're still working on a name.
There is a romance that has captivated people all over the world. Prince William and Kate Middleton have been on a rollercoaster ride of love since they met back in 2001 at St Andrews University in Scotland.
Well, William and Kate are determined to build a very happy home life for their children. I think that is of paramount importance to both of them. You know, Prince William is a very loving, warm individual, and he and Kate have a very solid and affectionate relationship. They want that to translate to their children.
Since those early days, their romance has blossomed into a modern-day fairy tale that has been documented and watched across the world. Their relationship has grown, strengthened, and transformed into an inseparable marriage and a true partnership.
His boy, his son, his daughter, they may grow up to be princes and kings and queens, but he wants them to have a great relationship with their parents and with each other. That's first and foremost going to be part of their royal upbringing.
The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are beloved by millions around the globe and dedicate their lives to the royal family, all while raising a royal family of their own. 3 young children who are all in line for the throne.
Their relationship has grown out of being just William and Kate. And I think that that's something that throughout their married life, as much as they can, they will try and retain.
Come with us as we follow the golden couple in the years after their most magical day and how they are raising the next generation of royals.
We all think he's wonderful, and we're extremely fond of him. We wish them every happiness for the future.
And you produced the ring?
Yeah.
There and then?
I did, yeah. I'd been carrying it around with me in my rucksack for about 3 weeks before that, and I literally would not let it go. Everywhere I went, I was keeping hold of it because I knew this thing, if it disappeared, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I took her up somewhere nice in Kenya and proposed.
It's very romantic. There's a true romantic in that.
There is.
After 7 years of dating, family life beckoned for William and Kate, and in November 2010, it was announced that the two were to marry. The nation took Kate to their hearts, and she has been by his side ever since. The Duchess of Cambridge is admired around the world, and her rise to royalty and influence is of international intrigue. Taking her place on the global stage overnight, tying the knot with Prince William, and swiftly making monarchy history in the form of their firstborn and third in line for the throne, Prince George Alexander Louis.
I, Catherine Elizabeth,
take thee, William Arthur Philip Louis,
take thee, William Arthur Philip Louis,
to my wedded husband,
to my wedded husband,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
to have and to hold from this day forward,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poorer,
for richer, for poorer,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death us do part,
till death us do part,
according to God's holy law,
according to God's holy law,
and thereto I give thee my troth.
and thereto I give thee my troth.
Amen.
The marriage, the ceremony, the wedding, just actually puts a seal on what everybody has been aware of for a long, long time.
On the 29th of April 2011, Prince William and Kate Middleton married in Westminster Abbey. Their wedding was one that will go down in British history as a most extraordinary event. It was viewed by billions of people around the world. Given the history of previous royal weddings, the question was how sustainable the relationship between them was going to be, how long their partnership would last, but more importantly, how long it would be until the world would see a royal baby. However, it was clear that this was not your average pairing, and it was an opinion held high that their romance and longevity as a husband and wife showed no signs of stopping.
Side. We can see some movement there behind those curtains, and here we go.
Oh, wow, she says. Oh, wow.
Make it sit down.
For some, it was an agonizing wait until an official announcement in December of 2012 that the Duchess was pregnant. On the 3rd of December 2012, Clarence House announced that the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge were expecting their first child. However, the announcement did not go according to plan.
Kate was forced to announce prior to being 12 weeks pregnant that she was in fact expecting because she was hospitalized for very, very severe morning sickness. She suffers for something called hyperemesis gravidarum, which is a very somewhat rare form of extreme morning sickness. This goes way beyond the typical nausea and discomfort that most women feel. This is very extreme, where the mother-to-be is unable to keep down any solids or even sometimes liquids. It can be quite serious both for mother and baby.
Obviously, there'd been an awful lot of anticipation as when Kate was going to announce that she was pregnant. I mean, in fact, I think the announcement was suggested for about 6 months beforehand. Everyone was writing in the papers that she was pregnant. The palace had put out the official announcement as she was en route to the hospital because she'd had problems with the pregnancy, and it was felt that William and Kate didn't want to even tell the Queen or Prince Charles that she was pregnant until they were absolutely certain everything was okay. So that's what happened. The actual announcement happened because she was feeling unwell and was taken to hospital.
William and Kate had talked at length about how they wanted to make this announcement to the world, and it certainly wasn't going to be this way and at that stage in the pregnancy. Most celebrities, particularly royals, wait until that first trimester is finished before they make any happy announcements.
The Duchess was admitted to St Mary's Hospital in London in the early stages of labour on the 22nd of July 2013 and gave birth to a baby boy named George Alexander Louis. The media camped out in excitement to catch a glimpse of the future king. Kate and William greeted the press and introduced Prince George to the world.
Well, the birth of Prince George was really like a national celebration. It felt like a national holiday. There was excitement in the air all around the country. It very much reminded me of the feeling of the royal wedding day when William and Kate got married. Everyone was universally happy. Everyone was constantly checking the news feeds on their phone and on the television in order to see, waiting for William and Kate to come out from the hospital for the first time, holding the new baby prince.
There was huge celebration over the birth of Prince George. I remember broadcasting for numerous international networks outside Buckingham Palace. Of course, it was the great Kate wait. I mean, we didn't know when this little baby was coming along, and when he did, it was a hugely important international news story.
So when news broke of Kate actually having given birth, I think at 8:34 in the morning on that Saturday, the press obviously instantly started speculating, well, will she leave today? And thinking as a mother, I thought, yeah, she definitely will, because you don't necessarily want to hang around hospitals too long, even if they are the Lindo wing and private and offering all frills.
Well, actually, I've covered the royal family for 25 years, and the excitement around the birth of Prince George has surpassed most of the things that I'd covered, actually, even the royal weddings. And it was a huge bun fight, if you like, outside the Lindo wing of the St Mary's Hospital, Paddington. There were hundreds of journalists there, as well as camera crews and members of the public. The excitement began to gather when, of course, she was snuck in the back door and was actually inside the hospital.
I have several friends actually with news organizations who were standing outside the hospital that day, waiting hours after hour for William and Kate to come out. And actually, they came out quite a bit later than expected because typical William and Kate's strategy fashion, they were greeting and thanking every single member of staff at the hospital personally for the very smooth birth. They wanted to make sure they thanked everyone from the cleaner to the midwife to the surgeon to say thank you very much. So they did actually take a long time to emerge. When they did, Kate was roundly praised in the press for her choice of dress. You know, a lot of women when they first have a baby are very self-conscious about the fact that they oftentimes still look pregnant. They still have a very swollen stomach. Kate was not at all ashamed of this. In fact, wore a dress which highlighted the fact that she still had a very rounded tummy. And a lot of women praised her for this, said that it made a difference because it kind of just emphasized the fact that women don't need to be ashamed of their bodies when they've had a baby. And it was really a lovely thing that she did. She came out, she was absolutely beautiful and radiant. I'm sure she had some help with makeup and hair. In fact, we saw some of her stylists coming into the hospital before she emerged. So we know that she had a little help, but she did look fantastic and they looked absolutely in love. As William and Kate were leaving their press call when they came out with the baby, he was seen to be very affectionate with her. He had his hand on the small of her back and he called her Puppet. So we now know one of his sweet names of endearment for his lovely wife.
Very emotional.
Yeah, it's very emotional. It's such a special time. I think any parent, I think, will probably sort of know what this feeling feels like. So
It's very special. Well, he's got a good pair of lungs on him, that's for sure. He's a big boy, he's quite heavy, but we're still working on a name, so we'll have that as soon as we can. But it's the first time we've seen him, really, so having a proper chance to catch up and see it.
With the arrival and reveal of the new baby, the royal reaction was that of warmth and confidence in both William and Kate, unearthing a new chapter of their legacy.
they were holding the baby and they just looked so beautiful and happy. It was really stunning. Yeah, I'll never forget it.
It was not forgotten that one particular member of the family was now an uncle.
Well, I think Harry would be the perfect uncle, all the fun and no responsibility. That sort of is what Harry would like, I'm sure. He's great with kids, Harry. I mean, you only have to see him when he's out in Africa, as I've done with the kids that they sent to Bali refugees, and he's fantastic. He's fun. He's a big kid himself, I think he says it himself.
Prince Harry probably has the most fun with Prince George out of the entire family because with Harry, he can be as cheeky and as silly and as wild as he wants to be with this little baby, and he has a great time with him. You know, one of Harry's best qualities is his childishness and his kind of open personality and just finding fun in everything. And he really connects with George because George, from all accounts, is a baby with a huge personality and character. He doesn't just take a bath, he's splashing, constantly trying to get all the water out. George is a really fun, free-spirited little boy. And I think Harry very much has that personality, and those two have a fantastic relationship. There's no question that Harry's going to be the favorite uncle, possibly the favorite person for George, because he's so much fun.
Given that Kate Middleton was an outsider coming into the royal family, there is no question that she would have had to have made a good impression on Queen Elizabeth. Her Majesty must have been very keen to ensure that her grandson would find someone with stickability and a devotion to duty as steadfast as her own.
Well, the Queen wears two hats, and she, one of them being a crown. As Queen, she's obviously thrilled, I'm sure, that Prince William is in a happy marriage, that the heir is born in Prince George. That's the role, to make sure that the line of succession is secured. But as a grandmother and a great-grandmother, I'm sure she's absolutely thrilled with the way that the William and Kate are in love and they're enjoying a happy marriage together. It's very stable.
Queen Elizabeth is probably a tough person to impress, and I can only imagine the nerves that Kate must have felt being a commoner and meeting the Queen for the first time. She didn't come from the aristocratic class that would have perhaps already met the Queen at various occasions, and certainly had family members who had. Kate came in completely from the outside into this very tight-knit royal circle. To her great credit, Queen Elizabeth appears to have also learned from the lessons of Diana and really welcomed Kate into the family in a way that I don't think Diana was ever exactly welcomed. And Kate was given a lot of support by royal staff and royal household as she grew into the role of being a duchess, of being a princess. They gave her time and space and resources in order to help and support her in that role, and it's done wonders.
She always used to say that it was important that her grandchildren, particularly William and Harry, enjoy a long courtship so that people coming into the royal family understand the intricacies and difficulties of being a member of the royal family. And I think that that has certainly paid off in the case of William and Kate. They're a stable, happy family. They represent what is good about marriage and what is good about having an extended family. And the royal family themselves, that is part of their role, and I'm sure the Queen is delighted with that.
In early 2014, it was confirmed that Prince William and Kate Middleton, along with Prince George, would be touring Australia and New Zealand.
The trip to Australia was truly amazing, actually, in terms of the response. I think that they certainly dubbed Prince George the Republican Slayer, because in terms of popularity of the monarchy, it soared. I was covering it for one of the leading networks in Australia, and they were doing hour-long specials live from the events, such as at Manly Beach, when they arrived there, when there were thousands and thousands of people just there to see them. The truth of it is, though, is that they were the star attraction and have been a star attraction for some time in Australia and New Zealand. People love the connection with the royal family in that part of the world, because they're not only celebrity, but there's a connection with them. They're technically one day going to be the King and Queen of Australia. So it was a huge event. And I went to a reception before that at Kensington Palace, where William and Kate came out, and they were introducing the media that were travelling to the little George, and he was in great form. And they were quite nervous, I think, Kate in particular, about the reception they were going to receive. How big would it be? And they knew it was going to be huge. But I don't think even when they got there, they expected it to be as huge as it was. They went to the Taronga Zoo in Sydney, which is a fabulous zoo. It overlooks the Sydney Harbour, and it was a brilliant engagement. They went there primarily as the main engagement for Prince George. He was going to be filmed and photographed in the Bilby area.
Now,
it was a good engagement, and it certainly was the lead item on all the networks in Australia and in fact all around the world that day, because we hadn't really seen much of Prince George.
just as a reminder for when he's a bit older.
Their relationship has been played out so vividly in the public spotlight, and they've had to deal with the highs and lows of a relationship any couple must go through. But there is no doubting the sincerity and solidarity of their partnership in all its forms, and their ability to raise a healthy and strong family.
They are an incredibly down-to-earth couple. I remember meeting them together as a couple for the very first time on the day the palace announced that they were getting married. And a few journalists were invited to go to St James's Palace and have a cup of tea with them. Well, that's not an offer you get very often. So, of course, we jumped at the invite and took tea with them. And I think everyone was terribly nervous, not least William and Kate. I mean, it was the first time they had met the British media. You know, I'd seen them at nightclubs before. I'd spent my time, you know, watching them at polo matches and charting this amazing relationship. But the first time really to actually sit down and talk with them, I remember Kate being very nervous, but incredibly sweet and kind, and interested in what we were doing and how we were covering the story. And they both just seemed so well matched. You could see it in their body chemistry even at that stage, and on in a moment, you know, fraught with nerves. They were about to meet the world's press. All the paparazzi and the photographers, rather, were waiting next door to take their pictures. But even under that sort of pressure, they gravitated towards each other. I remember William having his hand in the small of Kate's back, you know, guiding her, making sure she was all right. And I think that's what you've seen over the years. You know, he has wanted to just make sure that she is comfortable, that she feels confident and happy in what she's doing. And as he said in that engagement interview, and I think it was such a poignant and important thing that he said, that he waited so long to propose, not because he wasn't sure. I think he probably had been sure for a long time, but it was so that he could give Kate the opportunity to see exactly what married life would be like and get out if it wasn't what she wanted. And, you know, when you see them together, you do see a couple genuinely in love. They're very happy together. They work well together. They're a team. And I think they are great assets for the British royal family and great assets for the country.
It is no secret that William and Kate's desire for privacy is paramount. Normally, they would have taken residence at Kensington Palace in London, but the couple felt there would have been a significant lack of privacy had they taken residence at the palace. They would have been easily overlooked, with a much higher chance of the paparazzi being able to photograph them in their private moments. They very quickly accepted when Queen Elizabeth offered them residence at Anmer Hall, a fantastic Georgian house in the Norfolk countryside.
Neither William and Kate are city people. They love the countryside, they love the outdoors. So when the Queen decided to gift Anmer Hall, which is a beautiful property on the Sandringham estate, to William for his 30th birthday, they knew that it was the perfect getaway. It was going to be their country bolt hole, and they've spent the best part of 2 years and about £2 million, in fact, doing that property up and making it a retreat. It's a fortress. You can't get anywhere near the property. Security is paramount, and there's a huge amount of space. And most importantly, they are not spied on. They can get away there, and they love the countryside. They're happier there than they are here in London.
So the Cambridges have two different houses. They've got Kensington Palace, which has been renovated and now looks lovely. Apartment 1A. Apartment's a bit misleading. It's not like it's a flat, it's a 20-room mansion. Of course, William wanted to keep a house there because he grew up there and it's synonymous with his mother. That said, I think they feel like it's a little bit of a goldfish bowl and it's too close to the media and the press buzz of London. And actually, they're both quite countrified people. If you remember, their first few years of their relationship and their marriage was based in Anglesey, a remote island off the coast of Wales. And they loved that life. And I think up at Anmer Hall, which is their country bolt hall on the Queen's Sandringham estate, they can have total and utter seclusion and privacy and lead this normal life that they're trying to lead. Look, obviously it's not normal to be royal and have unlimited funds and equally nannies and housekeepers and servants. But at the same time, I think what they're trying to do is be as hands-on as possible as parents. William has been delaying royal life somewhat so that he can spend more time as a dad, and Anmer provides the perfect environment to bring up young children.
Following on from the birth of the future prince in an unexpected short time, it was announced that there was not just one royal baby on the cards. On the 8th of September 2014, it was revealed that the Duchess was pregnant with her second child. But again, the announcement did not go to plan. As with her first pregnancy, Kate suffered from severe morning sickness and she was forced to cancel a number of public engagements. However, the world stood still as happiness reigned over the monarchy with the prospect of a baby sister for their son.
Again, you know, it's not what William and Kate wanted. They very much wanted the pregnancy to kind of go a little bit farther along before they confirmed to the world. But again, their hand was forced because of Kate's morning sickness.
So congratulations. Hi, congratulations. How's Catherine feeling?
She's feeling okay, thanks. It's been a tricky few days, week or so, but obviously we're immensely thrilled. It's great news. Early days, but I'm hoping things settle down and she feels a bit better. But it's important that we all focus on the big news and the big international and domestic news are going on at the moment. So that's what my sort of thoughts are at the moment. I can go back and look after her now.
It's early days, but you must be very excited.
Thank you.
Some women get morning sickness not until 6 or 7 weeks in, but Kate seems to get it almost immediately and to a very great degree. So the fact that she was forced to start canceling appearances meant that the palace was forced to confirm the second baby was on the way.
Prince William's return from a successful diplomatic mission in China heralded the imminent arrival of the new royal baby, and the world's media set up camp once again around Buckingham Palace and St Mary's Hospital as international interest grew.
Well, I think there was a great outpouring of joy because everyone loves a baby and everyone loves a royal baby even more. It's probably slightly more muted than when Prince George was born because obviously firstborn children to the Cambridges are extra special. I think the fact that she was a girl and that she was named after Elizabeth and Diana, as well as that nod to Prince Charles in the name Charlotte, made it a global event that everyone wanted a little piece of.
On the morning of the 2nd of May 2015, the Duchess gave birth to a daughter who weighed 8 pounds and 3 ounces. She was to be named Charlotte Elizabeth Diana. The following evening, iconic London landmarks such as Tower Bridge, the London Eye, and the Trafalgar Square fountains were illuminated pink to mark the birth of the princess.
So when news broke of Kate actually having given birth, I think at 8:34 in the morning on that Saturday, the press obviously instantly started speculating, well, will she leave today? And thinking as a mother, I thought, yeah, she definitely will, because you don't necessarily want to hang around hospitals too long, even if they are the Lindo wing and private and offering all frills. Equally, there's a sense, I think, if you have a second child that you want to get back to your first. So people are sort of looking at their watches thinking, can she do this? Can she have a baby by breakfast and be home at Kensington Palace for tea? And when we got wind of the fact that Kate's hairdresser had gone into the building, we knew, oh, hang on, she's going to make an appearance. And in vintage Duchess of Cambridge style, she turns out in high heels and looking effortlessly elegant, even though she's given birth just hours earlier, which is a testament to her and how she's able to cope. Not only, I think, in the limelight, but just in with this pressure of having to present herself in a certain light. And I think, hats off to her. Whether you love or loathe monarchy, any mother out there will say that it was a pretty good effort to look so good within hours of having given birth to your second child, I think.
The birth of the princess was cause for national celebration. A little sister for Prince George, the daughter Prince William had always wanted, and the granddaughter Prince Charles had always hoped for.
Well, I think when it was announced that they'd had a little girl, it was a great cause of national celebration. Of course, a little sister for Prince George, the daughter that Prince William had always wanted, the granddaughter that Charles had always wanted, but actually, historically, a really important little girl because she will hold her place in the lineage of succession. The antiquated male primogeniture laws were outcast just before Prince George's birth in case he had been a little girl. Now, had those laws not been changed and had the couple or are the couple to go on and have another child that may be a boy, well, Charlotte would have lost her place in succession. With the laws being changed, she will hold on to that position. She is the fourth in line to the throne, and no little boy born hereafter will take that place away from her. So she is historically very, very important.
Well, Charlotte's birth certainly does herald the dawn of a new era for girl power in that we have a girl in a prominent position at the senior end of the royal family. Obviously, we've been used to the Queen, the ultimate exponent of girl power on the throne, but we face the prospect now of 3 kings in line, so we're not going to see another woman on the throne for many, many, many years. So how lovely to have Charlotte in this role, bringing up the rear. She's rather unkindly called the spare to the heir, as Prince Harry is, but as he has proved himself, it's a role that you can make your own, and I'm sure all eyes will be on Charlotte. In fact, there'll probably be even more scrutiny on her because she's female. But yeah, I mean, how great to have the pitter-patter of pink feet in the royal line of succession.
William's got the princess he always wanted. Diana wanted a princess in the family. She's got her wish, he's got his, and Diana's been remembered in the process. So it really completes it. They've ticked all the boxes. And the other thing about Charlotte is it's the female of Charles. So they've really done everything.
A little brother for the two royal children, Prince Louis Arthur Charles, was born on the 23rd of April 2018, the couple's third child, who is fifth in line to the throne. The Duke of Cambridge took Prince George and Princess Charlotte, his older brother and sister, to visit him at the hospital on the day he was born. The public were thrilled at William and Kate's growing family. Since the introduction of the Middletons into the royal family, there has been much debate around them, as before their introduction, a future king had never married anyone outside of the aristocracy. Carol Middleton is very much the matriarch of the Middleton family, the linchpin around whom everything orbits.
She's done that remarkably with William's family as well. She is, I think, far more hands-on with the Cambridges than most people realise. When you look at the birth of Prince George, it was unprecedented for a future king to be raised not in a palace, but a regular house. And not just that, but by the grandparents who weren't his paternal grandparents. They weren't royal grandparents, they were Kate's parents. So that was very unusual, and we know that she's been very important, and I think what she's brought to William and Kate is a lack of tradition, if you want, the formality that you expect with the royals, the nursery being the domain of the nanny and governesses, and the children are kept away from the adults. That's not the case at Kensington Palace. At Apartment 1A, the children are very much a part of William and Kate's life, and I think that's a reflection of Kate's own childhood. And I think it's what Diana would have absolutely wanted. It was what she wanted for William and Harry, and Diana really broke the mould. When it came to parenting, she did things differently. With Charles, he should take credit for that too. But I think what you've seen with William and Kate is they've taken it to a different level, and they've done that very much with the help of Mrs. Middleton.
Kate had a happy childhood. She came from a strong family where her parents were hugely dedicated to her and her siblings.
If you look at Sophie Wessex, or as she was then, Sophie Rhys-Jones, even Princess Diana and Sarah Ferguson, their families were very much kept on the periphery, and that was a deliberate move. Once you married into the royal family, you became a Windsor, and that was that. Well, it was different when Kate and William got married, and when William asked Kate to marry him, he made it very clear that she wouldn't have to leave her family behind her once she married into his family. He promised her that they'd always stay a part of the family, and they have done, whether it's joining the Queen at Ascot or being on an important barge within the Queen's fleet at the Diamond Jubilee celebrations, being the first visitors to go and see Prince George when he was born, even before the future king, Prince Charles. All of these things are very significant because they're William's way of saying, you are part of this family and we are going to include you.
I think William gets on very well with the Middletons. I think the stability and ordinariness of their life really appeals to him. I think Michael Middleton is a straight down the line kind of guy who William gets on so well with. He affectionately calls him Dad. I think there's been a lot of snottiness about Carol Middleton and how she's a social climber and she's pushed her daughter in this direction. I just think she's very proud of her children and wants the best for them. And actually, you can say anything you like about the Duchess of Cambridge, but you can't accuse her of not being impeccably well brought up, as are all those children who had, in fact, done their sister very proud on the wedding day itself, not least James, who gave that great reading in the church. So actually, I think the Middletons are this picture of middle-class respectability that can only be a good thing for the royal family. I think the ways the Middletons have been integrated into royal life, so to speak, has been quite seminal and unprecedented. Often girls would marry into the royal family and their in-laws would sort of be ignored or shoved away. Actually, the Queen has actively embraced the Middletons, inviting them to things like Royal Ascot.
Well, the Middletons are hugely interesting because they've been more instrumental and influential than any other family that's married into the House of Windsor.
And what they did is what good parents have always done. They've invested in education. It cost them a lot of money. They sent all of their 3 children to good schools. In the case of Kate, to Marlborough School, which is one of the top public schools, which means private in British terms, schools, where she did quite well.
It's clear Prince William found something special in Kate. It is her childhood that has shaped her parenting style. Wanting to bring a good base and groundwork to family life is in her background. But it is something William has always wanted too. Though they're part of the UK's most famous family, the royal couple are raising their children to be well-mannered and not take their status for granted. The Duchess of Cambridge has transformed from one of the people into the future queen, and she has remained down to earth. She will make sure to raise the future king to be the same.
You have to remember that as much as Princess Diana is famous for her warmth and just closeness to her boys, they very much did not have a secure, stable, warm family environment growing up. Their parents were divorced. It was very acrimonious for quite a few years. Their father is quite famous for being cold and distant, at points very aloof. There really wasn't a kind of happy family for either of those boys. And seeing it in the Middleton family has made a fantastically huge impact on William, and it is precisely the kind of dynamic that he wants to bring into his own family life. Well, talking to a royal insider several years ago, she told me that one of the reasons William fell in love with Kate Middleton from the very beginning was because of her family and her close relationship with her siblings and parents. As much as William fell in love with Kate, he definitely fell in love with the Middleton family at the same time. You know, he would lie on the couch with his head in the lap of Mrs. Middleton, or he would sit after dinner and talk for hours with Mr. Middleton. He loved the way Kate was very friendly and playful with her brother James or her sister Pippa. Feeling a part of that very close-knit, tight, a very British family was the first time in his life that he had ever had that experience. And for William, it was utterly intoxicating. And I believe that one of the reasons the Middletons are so deeply involved in the life of Kate and William and their baby George, and soon to be new baby, is that William very much wants to replicate the Middleton dynamic, the Middleton family bonds within his own growing family. Well, the Middletons are very actively involved in the lives of William and Kate and baby George. In fact, they moved in to the home with William and Kate for several months prior to the birth of the new baby, just to kind of oversee the housekeeping staff, make sure things were running smoothly, prepare Kate's favorite smoothies, whatever it was. They wanted to fill in the gaps for Kate as she prepared to become a mom for the second time and looking after a very busy toddler, albeit with a lot of help. It has been somewhat interesting to note that Prince Charles and Camilla have been less involved with the Kate-William family, and it has been a matter of some controversy. There were quite a few royal reports from insiders saying that Charles was unhappy and felt he was being shut out a bit in the life of Prince George, and that Carol Middleton and her husband Michael had kind of taken over, usurped his position within the family. And there have been quite a few rumors that Charles and Camilla felt a bit slighted and would like to be more actively involved in the young family's life. Having said that, I think it's been, demonstrated again and again the kind of parent and family that William wants, and he's certainly going to be getting a lot more help and inspiration from the Middleton family than he is from his own father, perhaps. That's not to say that Charles won't be involved or have a part to play in Prince William's life.
Equally, with regard to Prince George, there had been reports, Prince George is always with the Middletons and not much with Prince Charles. Actually, that mirrors everyday families. If the daughter has a child, she always retreats back to her parents and less often the father's parents. I think people can relate to that. So, of course, Kate wants to be close to her mum when she's got young children who she's trying to learn to cope with. She's got 2 kids under 2. Most women in that scenario would be retreating back to their parental home, before you can say, when does potty training start? I think as well, Kate has been very careful not to upstage her husband. I think that she's the yin to his yang in that he, although a level-headed, down-the-line kind of guy, can be prone to a few temper tantrums, perhaps, and likes to dig his heels in and knows his own mind. And I think can sometimes get quite angry. One gets the impression that Kate's the one sort of pulling him back and reining him in and saying, all right, let's just keep calm. And I think as well, why Kate's brilliant for William is she has been so well brought up in such a loving and stable family, the kind of family, let's face it, the Prince has never really had, that's hugely grounding for him. And actually her middle classness and her lack of aristocratic airs and graces and the fact that she isn't royalty is no bad thing, because it dilutes the royal family a little bit and it reminds this man who has been brought up knowing nothing else but royal life what real life is like.
The Duke and Duchess know there is an intense public interest in their children's lives, but have carefully orchestrated how Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis are seen by the world's media, and they try to shield them from the public as much as possible. There is no doubt that both of them take their responsibilities to their family very seriously. William and his brother Prince Harry grew up in front of the cameras, an experience which often left the boys unsettled. Since the tragic death of Princess Diana, the British press has taken a different stance on how they treat members of the monarchy. Previously, the British royal family was hounded by the paparazzi. Nowadays, their privacy is respected much more, particularly by the British media.
Well, the lesser-spotted Prince George has been a source of some bewilderment to the press because we haven't actually seen him in public that much at all. Yes, he was taken to Australia and New Zealand and he was seen quite a lot down under. But in Britain, actually, he's only made 2 major public appearances and both of them have been at the Lindo Wing, the day after he was born and indeed the day he went to see Princess Charlotte. And having perfected the art of the royal wave, we do want to see more of his royal cuteness. That said, you've got a situation with Prince William being fiercely protective of his family's privacy, complaining a lot about paparazzi shots, which is why we don't see them, at least in the British papers, out and about at the park, because newspaper editors have decided not to run them, thinking they're too intrusive. They have been online and they are in foreign magazines, but the British press have actually never respected the royal family's privacy more.
I think the couple recognise that there's a huge interest not just in them, but also now in their children, that they are international icons, they are famous around the world. And I suppose that by giving the public a glimpse, it might lessen the need for snatched paparazzi pictures, which is something they feel very strongly about and they take legal action against. So it's a case of finding a happy medium.
Though William and Kate are trying to give their children as normal an upbringing as possible, they are well aware they are raising a future king. Prince George and Princess Charlotte have been attending important family occasions since their youngest days. Since his birth, Prince George has slowly been introduced to the greatness of his position, much like his father experienced with the Queen. However, the childhood William had, and the one he is crafting for his own 3 children, is notably different to what Prince Charles and even Queen Elizabeth had. All 3 Cambridge children are encouraged to express their emotions and ask questions to enable them to grow up as healthy adults.
This whole stoic, we can't show our emotions, sort of seems a little outdated now. And I think moving on, we do have a family that appears a bit more like us than just them behind palace gates.
Despite being senior members of the royal family with busy schedules and nannies to help care for the children, William and Kate are known for their hands-on approach to parenting.
I think as far as schooling is concerned with George and Charlotte, they will follow a very similar pattern to their own parents. And I include Kate in that because she was privately educated like William from the start. So we can probably expect, you know, a quiet, nice little private nursery and then a equally discreet and quiet private prep school and then a senior school. I suppose for George, William enjoyed Eton so much, as did Harry, that we could probably expect him to follow in his father's footsteps, and perhaps even for Charlotte. Kate left Down House because she didn't quite like it and ended up at Marlborough College with her brother and her sister. That's also where Princess Eugenie, William's cousin, went, so it's got a good royal heritage. Perhaps she'll want that for Princess Charlotte too, so I think we can imagine somewhat of a mirror image when it comes to how the Cambridge children will be educated.
They're very much hands-on parents. I mean, William made it very clear when George was born that he wanted to be a hands-on parent. He took time off to spend with George and Kate. They didn't have a nanny straight away. They were very anti having an extended staff to look after their children, look after them. You know, when you're in the royal family, when you're in the public eye, it's very, very difficult to do everything. And I think that even Kate and William have found that, and so they are now realising that it's important to have the extra help that they require.
Well, William and Kate, as parents, we know are very structured. From what we've heard coming out of the palace, Prince George is on a very strict schedule that never deviates. You know, he has his meals at a certain time, his tea, his goes to bed at a certain time, his naps. Everything is regimented. They have a nanny from Spain who is a very thorough and organized young woman, no nonsense, and that is how George is being raised. Kate and William are strict parents. You know, I read somewhere that they mostly bought him toys made of wood because that was traditional. I can't imagine anything worse. But again, they are following the royal customs and traditions. They are not overindulging or spoiling this little boy as much as they can. Having said that, they have an awful lot of help. In addition to their full-time nanny, they have other nannies who come in and help. They have a full staff of servants. Having said that, Kate has broken precedents in the sense that she does more for herself than anyone else in her position has ever done before. In fact, Kate and William's head housekeeper and head gardener both quit. They were a married couple. And it was very controversial because they had actually worked for the Queen previously and then come over to work for Prince William and Kate. There was a lot of speculation at the time that Carol Middleton had been interfering in the housekeeper's duties, that Kate Middleton was doing a lot for herself, and that didn't sit too well with the staff. You know, Kate's in a difficult position because she didn't grow up with household servants, and she likes to cook, for example. She likes to do things for William and very much likes the privacy that one gets without servants around. At the same time, William grew up with a retinue of servants and staff, and he has a certain lifestyle. So it's a balance, I think, of those two things, the privacy that they want, and also Kate feeling like she's taking care of her own home. But at the same time, you know, there's public engagements, there's all kinds of things that require her attention, and they do need a lot of help. You know, William has really fought for Kate at every turn and really learned from some of the mistakes that happened related to his mother and her very sad life in her last years. I think he's very much done the same thing, creating his own family unit as well. He has learned from the mistakes, some of the sadnesses of his own childhood, and he's determined that his children will know a different and a better life. One of the reasons he fell so deeply in love with Kate Middleton was her very British upbringing, her very close family, and William is determined to replicate that as best as he can within the confines and strictures of the palace. His boy, his son, his daughter, they may grow up to be princes and kings and queens, but he wants them to have a great relationship with their parents and with each other. That's first and foremost going to be part of their royal upbringing. You know, Prince William is a very loving, warm individual, and he and Kate have a very solid and affectionate relationship. They want that to translate to their children.
I think equally, one of the secrets of the success of their marriage is that they do seem much more equal than, say, for instance, Charles and Diana. You had a situation when they got married where Diana eclipsed her husband, and he often grumpily complained that, you know, people on the wrong side of the road who would groan if they got Charles on a walkabout and not Diana.
William and Kate, to me, are about the future. I don't like to look back and compare her to Diana because she is her own woman, and William and Kate, I think, have their own idea of what they want to do. And I think, you know, you see these two people moving forward and taking the monarchy forward. I say in my book that modernisation is a very hard word to use in the context of the royal family because the royal family is built on history and tradition and protocol, but actually in William and Kate, you see a future king and queen who are driving it forward and taking it on to the next step.
Ever since being pictured together for the first time back in 2004 on the snowy slopes of Closters, their relationship has been under the public microscope. But they haven't faltered once. In their first 40 years, they have produced 3 healthy and happy children, and the world has watched them transform from a young couple sharing a home at university to family role models in the modern monarchy.
I think Kate and William have a good chance of making this work. They are both very committed to the monarchy and making kind of a united front, whatever personal problems they might have. Kate has proven herself to be a team player. She's proven herself to be discreet. She's also proven that she's willing to put her own interests behind the interests of her husband. William and Kate are determined to build a very happy home life for their children. I think that is of paramount importance to both of them.
Their relationship has grown out of being just William and Kate. And I think that that's something that throughout their married life, as much as they can, they will try and retain.
Balancing home and family life with a career can be difficult. The task ahead of them is great, and they show every sign of having the character, personality, tenacity and skills to stay with the job, surviving and thriving, while staying down to earth and keeping alive the values and traditions of the British royal family in the modern world. The Duke and the Duchess of Cambridge are changing the royal parenting game. Their modern approach to raising their family paints a picture of a new kind of royal. With them, the monarchy is evolving.